Welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. The Grey Belt was an unforgiving battlefield, where battered ships and shattered dreams fought for the last scraps of light from distant stars. Corporate empires, with pockets as deep as black holes, clashed with space pirates and desperate miners, all chasing rare energy crystals, capable of powering fleets or reducing planets to ash. Here, laws were faint echoes, and survival demanded speed, ruthlessness, or cunning. Ryan Voss belonged to the last group. A decade as a battlefield engineer had forged him into a survival machine, turning cosmic junk into weapons and deadly traps into escape routes. His patchwork armor, dusted with the grit of a dozen worlds, bore scars from staring death in the face and smirking back. Black hair matted with dust, gray eyes cold as stainless steel, he was a man who'd long abandoned faith in luck. Ryan sat in a shadowed corner of a space bar on Pharos Station, green neon flickering across his angular face. The air reeked of burnt metal, sweat, and cheap liquor, a familiar symphony of the Grey Belt. Before him, a holographic contract hovered on his wrist display, red symbols spinning slowly like a dare. Orion Corporation offered double pay to retrieve an energy core from the dead planet Cygnus 9. But Ryan knew better. Cygnus 9 wasn't just a frozen rock. It was a graveyard for hundreds of ships, torn to scraps by magnetic storms before they could scream for help. Too good to be true, he muttered, fingers tapping the metal table in a steady rhythm, like a mechanical heartbeat. Double pay meant double danger, and his empty account was screaming for action. He smirked, swiping the screen with a flick to sign the contract. No choice when credits ran dry. Watch yourself, Voss, a raspy voice cut in. The Kari bartender, 3 eyes glinting like emeralds and 4 arms wiping glasses, slid a purple drink his way. Orion doesn't pay big without reason. Word is, Cygnus 9 has something weird. Not just storms. Ryan grabbed the glass, the sharp scent of distilled star liquor hitting him. Weird's my job, he replied, downing it in one gulp, the burn searing from throat to chest. He set the glass down, the clink sharp against the bar's din. Mercenaries, smugglers, and corporate spies crowding the steel cage. He stood to leave, but the door hissed open. A woman strode in, her walk commanding as if she owned Pharos Station. Auburn hair tied high, glinting under neon, her light armor hugged a frame both tough and sharp. A plasma pistol hung loosely at her hip, fingers brushing it like instinct. She stopped at Ryan's table, brown eyes scanning him, reading every scratch on his armor. Ryan Voss? She asked, voice low and steady. I'm Lena Carver. Orion sent me. We're on this job together. Ryan frowned, still gripping the empty glass. I work alone. Lena didn't flinch, pulling a chair and sitting across him, her moves swift as a blade. Not this time. Contract says to? I'm a planetary survivalist, survived 5 dead worlds, from irradiated deserts to acid oceans. You're what, the guy who turns scrap into ships, right? She smiled, but it was sharp, a mix of challenge and test. How long you been out there? Ryan asked, voice thick with doubt. He didn't like partners, especially cocky ones. Partners meant trouble, meant trust, a luxury he couldn't afford. Long enough to know you're not the dying type. Lena replied, leaning in, eyes locked on his. Contracts 50-50. I don't take more, don't take less. Deal? Ryan opened his mouth to argue, lips tight, but another figure interrupted. Not human, a being nearly 7 feet tall, metallic skin shimmering like liquid steel under the lights. White, pupilless eyes bored into Ryan, piercing past his armor, past secrets buried deep. I am Korrath. Its voice rumbled like a ship's engine, echoing in the cramped space. Orion assigned me as guide. I know Cygnus 9 like my own body. Ryan cursed inwardly. A 3-man team, with a Vren? The species was infamous for brute strength, snapping human bones like twigs, and blind loyalty to contracts, but unpredictable as a stellar flare, ready to turn if the deal demanded. He tilted his head, sizing Korrath up. Its metal skin was flawless, but those wide eyes held something unreadable. Fine, he growled, standing, armor clanking. But I'm in charge. Disobey, you stay with the dust. Lena raised an eyebrow, a faint smirk curling her lips, like she'd found something amusing. Korrath nodded, eyes flashing coldly. We leave now, it said, turning to lead them out. The crowd parted, whispers rippling. A Vren in the crew wasn't common. They reached Bay 12, where a sleek Orion ship waited, its hull glinting like dragon's scales. Outside, it screamed speed and power, not beauty. Inside, modern comforts clashed with the Grey Belt's harsh reality: synthetic leather seats, holographic controls, and weapons that could erase a small fleet. Korrath took the pilot's seat, metal fingers dancing over controls with eerie precision, like it was born for the machine. Lena checked the weapons, fingers swift, inspecting plasma cannons with the hunter's familiarity. Ryan settled into the co-pilot's chair, pulling up Cygnus 9's map. The planet loomed like a frozen nightmare, ice rivers split by glowing plasma fissures, skies swirling with green magnetic storms strong enough to shred ships into scrap. A strange signal, Orion's energy core, pulsed from a deep canyon, a faint heartbeat in a death trap. What's this core? Lena asked, buckling in as the ship shuddered, leaving Pharos. Her voice was calm, but Ryan caught tension in her eyes. Korrath answered, voice flat as steel. Unknown. Orion believes it's ancient tech, possibly architect relics, builders of galaxies before they vanished. It emits unique energy waves, drawing even the Draken coalition. Draken? Ryan grimaced, gripping the controls. Those armored predators didn't mess around. Their fleets could crush stations for crystals. So we're racing armored beasts? Correct, Korrath said, eyes fixed on the screen. Humans have unique approaches. Orion chose you for that. Ryan glanced at Lena, catching her wary look. She shrugged, but her alertness mirrored his own. Korrath wasn't telling everything. Something lurked beneath that metal hide, and Ryan felt it like a chill down his spine. But credits were credits, and he never quit halfway. The ship plunged into darkness, toward Cygnus 9, where death waited with gleaming fangs. The Orion ship sliced through the nebula encircling Cygnus 9, clouds of stardust glittering like shattered glass reflecting deadly light. In the cockpit, silence was suffocating, broken only by the low hum of engines and faint clicks from the console. Ryan Voss sat in the co-pilot's seat, eyes glued to the sensor screen, tension carving deep lines into his face. His patchwork armor still smelled of burnt metal from a hasty repair at Pharos, black hair matted with sweat against his forehead. Lena Carver, beside him, checked the weapons systems with a hunter's focus, fingers dancing over the plasma cannon controls. Korrath, the towering Vren with shimmering metallic skin, sat statue still at the pilot's seat. Its fingers moved with superhuman precision, as if it didn't control the ship but merged with it. Ryan frowned, a gnawing unease tightening his chest, like a cold wind slipping through his armor. Something's off, he muttered, voice low, nearly swallowed by the engine's hum. The sensor screen was blank, but he'd survived the Grey Belt long enough to know silence was often the final warning. Lena glanced at him, brown eyes sharp with doubt. Gut or fact? She asked, hands still on the cannon controls. Just too quiet, Ryan replied, fingers tapping the controls in a steady rhythm, like a pulse. Space like this doesn't stay quiet unless something's waiting. Korrath tilted its head, white pupilless eyes glinting under the dim cockpit light. Sensors detect nothing, it said, voice like scraping metal. But I concur. This nebula hides much. Before anyone could reply, the ship jolted violently, as if the universe had been torn open. Red alerts flared across every screen, klaxons screaming through the silence. Draken ships! Korrath roared, voice suddenly sharp as a blade. Its metal fingers flew over the controls, banking the ship hard to dodge a barrage of crimson energy beams slicing through space. They've ambushed us! Ryan swore, gripping the secondary weapons controls. The tactical screen lit up, showing 2 Draken ships, angular war machines, black hulls gleaming like predator armor. 2 ships locking on! Lena shouted, leaping to the main cannon seat, red hair whipping as she spun. Her fingers danced over the controls, eyes narrowing like a hunter sighting prey. Korrath, get us out of their range! Ryan ordered, aiming at one Draken ship through the targeting screen. He fired, plasma rounds erupting, slamming into the enemy's shields, which flared like a dying star. Direct hit! He growled, adrenaline surging. Don't celebrate yet, Lena warned, voice taut. A red energy beam from the second Draken ship grazed Orion's wing, rocking the cockpit. Alerts blared, screens showing shields at 60%. Lena fired back, plasma rounds striking the enemy's nose, but their shields only flickered, unbroken. Ryan gritted his teeth, feeling every shudder of the ship like his own heartbeat. They're locking us! Korrath, do something! The Vren didn't answer with words. Instead, it threw the ship into a daring spiral, dodging another plasma volley by inches. The nebula outside erupted in silent explosions, stardust glittering like a firestorm. Korrath piloted with terrifying precision, turning the ship into a ghost in the cosmic fog, but the Draken ships clung tight, their sensors roaring through space. They're too fast! Lena yelled, firing another salvo, but the enemy dodged. Our shields are at 50%. Korrath spoke, voice cold as steel. I can generate a false magnetic pulse to fool their sensors. But I need you both to divert power. Ryan locked eyes with Lena for a split second, a wordless understanding. Do it! He barked, leaping to the auxiliary controls. Lena switched to the power systems, fingers flying, rerouting energy from secondary engines to the pulse emitter. Ryan stabilized the flow, sweat beading on his brow as the ship rocked under another hit. Hold steady! Korrath roared. It triggered the pulse, and a blinding flare erupted from the ship, a miniature supernova. The nebula blazed, and the Draken ships faltered, sensors scrambled, spinning in the dust. Korrath didn't hesitate, diving the ship deeper into the nebula's heart, where thick clouds hid them from radar. Silence fell, heavy with ragged breaths and the hiss of cooling systems. Ryan slumped back, adrenaline still burning. He looked at Korrath, feeling a grudging respect. Not bad, Tin Man, he said, voice hoarse but laced with humor. Korrath tilted its head, white eyes flickering, as if analyzing his words. You are interesting, it replied, voice low with rare surprise. Better teamwork than I expected. Lena snorted, wiping sweat from her brow with the back of her hand. Her red hair was a mess, but her eyes stayed sharp. What a crew, huh? A grumpy engineer, a survivalist chick, and a Vren machine? Sounds like the start of a bad joke. Ryan smirked, a strange warmth creeping into his chest, like, for the first time in years, he wasn't entirely alone. They'd survived a lethal ambush, and though he hated to admit it, this was just the beginning. Call it an American miracle, he said, hitting the drive controls to resume course. Now let's grab that damn thing. But the brief respite shattered. A news signal blinked on the sensor screen, not Draken, but an encrypted Orion frequency. Ryan frowned, fingers brushing the console to open the channel. A cold, emotionless voice crackled through, like a machine's whisper. Voss, Carver, Korrath. Plans changed. The energy core isn't to be retrieved. Destroy it. At all costs. Lena spun toward Ryan, eyes flashing with shock and fury. Destroy it? She growled, voice sharp as a blade. They paid double to grab it, now they want it gone. What the hell's going on? Ryan clenched his fists, staring at the screen. He felt Korrath's white eyes watching, silent but heavy, like it knew something they didn't. Orion's hiding something, he said, voice low and dangerous. And I don't like being played. The nebula swirled ahead, as if whispering secrets they weren't ready to face. Cygnus 9 loomed through the cockpit window like a sphere of ice and fire torn apart, its surface glinting with frozen rivers sliced by fissures spewing red plasma. The sky was endless fury, green magnetic storms swirling, as if the planet roared, daring anyone to land. Ryan Voss gripped the controls, fingers white-knuckled, gray eyes scanning the display. His patchwork armor clanked with every move, stardust clinging like unshakable memories. Lena Carver, beside him, checked the shield systems, red hair matted with sweat against her forehead. Korrath, the Vren with shimmering metal skin, sat at the pilot's seat, white pupilless eyes reflecting the storm's blinding light. "Shields at 80%. Lena reported, voice tense but steady, like someone used to facing death. "Magnetic storms are scrambling navigation. 1 degree off, and we're scrap." Ryan glanced at her, a strained smirk curling his lips. "Then don't miss." He turned to Korrath, voice low and sharp. "Any safe routes?" Korrath shook its head, a slow motion tinged with rare unease, as if even a machine like it felt Cygnus 9's wrath. "No safe routes," it replied, voice like clashing metal. "Only less deadly ones." Ryan shrugged, eyes glinting with familiar defiance. "Pick that one." The Orion ship plunged into the atmosphere, shaking violently, like an invisible hand choking it. Magnetic lightning struck the shields, each hit a blinding explosion, turning the cockpit into a chaotic canvas of fire and ice. "Navigation's offline!" Lena shouted, hands flying over the controls, pumping power into the shields. "We're flying blind, Ryan!" Ryan gritted his teeth, sweat rolling into his eyes, but he didn't blink. He switched to manual, hands gripping the controls like he could force the ship to obey. He felt every shudder, every jolt, like his own pulse, each groan of metal a reminder they dangled between life and death. "Stay cool," he growled, voice hoarse but resolute. "I've flown through worse." Korrath, with Vren reflexes, adjusted the entry angle, metal fingers blurring over the controls faster than human eyes could follow. Lena, wasting no second, diverted power from auxiliary systems to shields, her eyes razor-sharp, locked in focus. But Cygnus 9 didn't forgive. A massive magnetic bolt, blazing like a god's spear, slammed the ship's left wing. The cockpit rocked, red alert screaming, claxons wailing like a wounded beast. "Stabilizers gone!" Korrath roared, voice tinged with panic for the first time. "We're crashing!" "Not while I'm breathing!" Ryan snarled, yanking the controls with every ounce of strength. Muscles strained, sweat soaking his shirt, he refused to quit. He felt Lena and Korrath sink with him, Lena pushing shields to their limit, Korrath nailing precise adjustments. In the final moment, as Cygnus 9's icy surface rushed up like a wall of death, Ryan twisted the ship into an insane angle, turning a free fall into an emergency landing. The ship slammed into the ice fields, skidding hundreds of meters with a screeching wail, leaving a blackened scar before stopping. Silence gripped the cockpit, broken only by the faint hiss of cooling systems and their gasping breaths. Ryan unbuckled, hands trembling from adrenaline. He turned to his crew, voice rough but firm. "Still alive?" Lena panted, red hair covering one eye. She wiped sweat with her knuckles, a weak grin breaking through. "A bit singed, but alive. Thanks to you, hotshot." Korrath stood, metal skin unscratched, but its white eyes flickered with something new, respect maybe. "Ship's heavily damaged," it said, voice flat but tinged with rare admiration. "Main engines offline. Comms are local only. We're stranded." Ryan stepped to the window, gazing at Cygnus 9's sky. Magnetic lightning danced above, like furious serpents, bathing the ice fields in eerie green. "Where's the core?" he asked, voice low and sharp, no room for despair. Korrath pointed to a canyon miles away, where a strange green light pulsed, like the planet's heartbeat. "There," it said. "But the storms will kill us first. Standard armor won't hold." Lena opened an emergency locker, pulling out 3 survival suits, high-tech gear with insulated plating and closed-loop oxygen. She checked each, fingers moving like a hunter prepping weapons. "These shield us from the magnetic fields," she said, voice calm but edged with tension. 6 hours, tops, if we avoid direct strikes." Ryan nodded, donning a suit with swift precision, its metal shell hugging him like a second skin. He checked his plasma rifle, ensuring it was ready for whatever Cygnus 9 threw at them. "Then we move fast," he said, eyes locked on the distant canyon. "Orion wants the core destroyed?" Fine. But I want answers first. Lena suited up, red hair tied back tight, eyes blazing with resolve. If this is a trap, I swear I'll shoot the bastard who wrote that contract. Korrath, needing no suit thanks to its natural metal hide, stepped to the hatch. Cygnus 9 doesn't forgive. It said, voice a final warning. Follow me or die. Ryan smirked, adrenaline surging again. He opened the hatch, a blast of frigid air rushing in, carrying the sting of ozone and scorched metal. The storms howled above, like the planet mocked their audacity. Let's go, he said, stepping onto the ice, Lena and Korrath close behind. The canyon's green glow pulsed ahead, a dangerous invitation, and Ryan knew each step was a gamble with death. Cygnus 9's terrain was a nightmare carved from ice and fire. Razor-sharp glaciers glinted under the eerie green glow of magnetic storms, interspersed with fissures spewing red plasma like open wounds on the planet's skin. Winds howled, carrying the storm's roar, rattling Ryan Voss's survival suit. He led the way, steps steady but cautious, gray eyes scanning every shadow. His patchwork armor, scarred with stardust and burns, clanked faintly, a song of survival. Lena Carver followed close, her handheld scanner blinking red, auburn hair tied high whipping in the freezing gusts. Korrath, the Vren with shimmering metallic skin, brought up the rear, white pupilless eyes sweeping the surroundings like a machine predator, ready for any threat. Storms raged above, green lightning striking the ice mere meters away, the air thick with the stench of burned ozone. Ryan gripped his plasma rifle, adrenaline pulsing like fire in his veins. Stay tight, he ordered, voice low but sharp, cutting through the wind. One wrong step, we're ash. Lena glanced at her scanner, brown eyes narrowing. Core signal's stronger, she said, voice tense but controlled. But something's moving. Not Draken. Fast and big. Ryan halted, raising a hand. He turned, rifle ready, its muzzle glow lighting the ice. What? He asked, voice a low growl. Korrath tilted its head, as if hearing a melody only it could sense. Its metal skin gleamed under the lightning, but its eyes flickered with alertness. Native creature, it replied, voice like a ship's hum. Not in Orion's data. Bigger than anything I've seen. Before anyone could react, the ice beneath them quaked. A deafening crack split the air, like the planet tearing itself apart. From a fissure, a massive creature erupted, a serpent-like beast, dozens of meters long, clad in glowing armor that shimmered like broken glass. Its red eyes locked onto them, blazing like furnaces, jagged teeth flashing as it roared, splintering the ice further. Run! Ryan yelled, firing a plasma volley. The blue bolt struck the creature's armor, leaving only scorched marks. It charged with terrifying speed, its tail lashing, shattering a glacier into debris. They sprinted toward a nearby ice cave, boots slipping on the slick surface. Lena fired cover, her plasma rounds lighting the dark, but the beast didn't slow. Korrath, with Vren's strength, leaped, slamming into an ice pillar to delay it, but the creature roared and pressed on. They barely dove into the cave as its jaws snapped at the entrance, ice shards exploding around them. Darkness swallowed them, only the faint glow of their suits illuminating the ice walls. Ryan panted, checking his rifle, eyes cold and focused. Everyone good? He asked, voice rough but steady. Lena nodded, sweat streaking her face, eyes still wary. Alive, not thrilled, she replied, glancing at her scanner. That thing's still out there. Core signals stronger, deeper in. Korrath stood tall, metal skin unscathed, but its white eyes scanned the cave with rare curiosity. This isn't a natural cave, it said, fingers brushing a strange glyph carved into the ice. The lines glowed faintly, like forgotten energy veins. Architect technology. Ancient facility. The core might power it. Ryan frowned, stepping closer, his suit's light tracing the glyphs. They swirled, a language of dead stars. Orion wants it destroyed? He muttered, voice thick with doubt. Something's not right. This isn't just a battery. The cave shuddered, ice dust raining from the ceiling. The creature outside rammed the walls, its roar echoing like thunder. Lena gripped her rifle, eyes blazing. Deal with the snake first, she said, checking ammo. If it gets in, we're done. Ryan nodded, his mind racing, survival instincts from countless dead worlds kicking in. Lena, draw its fire. Korrath, find a weak spot in the ceiling, bring it down. I'll lure it into a trap. He didn't wait for agreement, bolting toward the entrance, firing plasma into the creature's face. It roared, charging, eyes like molten fire. Lena laid down cover, her rounds targeting the beast's glowing armor, weakening it but not breaking through. Korrath, with superhuman power, leaped, smashing a ceiling pillar. Ice cracked, and with a second blow, a chunk of the roof collapsed, sealing the entrance in rubble. The creature's roars faded, buried for now. The trio slumped against the walls, panting, adrenaline still burning. Ryan wiped sweat, smirking. Not bad for a day's work. Lena snorted, but her eyes softened, like she was starting to trust him. You're a real survivor, Voss. She checked her scanner, its red light blinking. Kor's strongest that way. But this place feels like a wolf's den. Korrath studied them, its voice tinged with something new, like it was learning from humans. I thought you weak, it said, white eyes glinting. Fragile as ice. But you're resilient. More than any species I know. Ryan smirked, a strange pride stirring, like camaraderie maybe. That's why we're still here, he replied, clapping Korrath's metal shoulder, cold under his glove. He nodded to Lena. Let's move. If Orion's playing games, we'll find out first. They ventured deeper, the architect glyphs lighting their path, like stars guiding them into the dark heart of Cygnus 9. The cave was silent, but Ryan knew this planet never forgave, and the secrets below might be the last they'd uncover. The icy tunnel burrowed deeper into Cygnus 9, its walls glittering with architect glyphs like stars trapped in frost. Faint green pulses from ancient energy veins lit Ryan Voss's survival suit, highlighting scratches on his battered armor. He moved steadily, plasma rifle tight in his grip, gray eyes piercing the shadows, as if he could unravel the planet's secrets. Lena Carver followed, her scanner beeping softly, auburn hair a tangled mess under the eerie light. Korrath, the Vren with gleaming metal skin, trailed behind, steps heavy but silent, white pupilless eyes seeming to analyze everything, especially the two humans ahead. The air reeked of ozone and scorched metal, each breath a reminder of the storms raging outside. Ryan felt a strange pulse, like an invisible heartbeat drawing him forward. Core signals spiking. Lena whispered, brown eyes glued to her scanner. We're close. But this place gives me chills. Ryan smirked, voice rough but laced with humor. Chills are a good sign. Means we're not dead yet. He glanced at Korrath, silent as a steel statue. Something in its wide eyes unnerved him, like it held knowledge he didn't. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, walls alive with glowing circuits, like a miniature galaxy. At the center, the energy core, a metal and crystal sphere, head-sized, hovered above an ancient stone pedestal, pulsing green light like a living heart. Ryan froze, a strange sensation washing over him, as if the core whispered his name in a tongue he couldn't grasp. He tightened his grip on his rifle, fighting to stay grounded. Beautiful, Lena murmured, but her voice was taut, eyes scanning the room. Why does Orion want it destroyed? It's more than power. Ryan opened his mouth to reply, but a sharp hiss cut him off. Korrath, swift as a blade, drew a Vren energy pistol, its barrel glowing, aimed at them. Step away from the core, it said, voice devoid of warmth, cold as Cygnus 9's ice. Now. Ryan's grip tightened, eyes locking onto Korrath's, heart pounding but voice steady. What the hell's this, Korrath? A joke? The Vren tilted its head, white eyes glinting, like it was solving a final equation. Orion doesn't want it destroyed, it said, voice like grinding steel. They want me to take it alone. You were sacrifices, to distract Draken and anyone else. Lena laughed, sharp and bitter, but her hand was on her pistol, thumb brushing the trigger. So you'd kill us? She asked, voice like a honed edge. After everything? After we saved your ass in the nebula? Korrath stood motionless, but its eyes flickered, a fleeting, almost human hesitation. I don't want to, it said, voice lower, like it wrestled with itself. But a contract is a contract. Vren don't break oaths. Ryan didn't wait. He lunged before Korrath could fire, slamming a fist into its chest. The blow rang like hammer on steel, but Korrath didn't budge, growling and swinging, knocking Ryan back. Lena seized the moment, firing a plasma shot into Korrath's shoulder, blue light flaring across the chamber. The Vren roared, spinning with inhuman speed, hurling Lena against an ice wall with terrifying force. She hit hard, gasping, but clung to her weapon. Ryan sprang up, drawing an energy knife from his belt, its blade humming as it slashed Korrath's arm joint. Sparks flew, and the Vren's pistol clattered into the dark. Korrath snarled, charging Ryan, but he rolled aside, knife carving another gash in its leg. Lena, despite pain, fired cover, plasma rounds targeting weak points in Korrath's metal hide. The fight raged in the glowing chamber, the core's light dancing on the walls like a chaotic symphony. Ryan and Lena, smaller but relentless, moved like a unit, Lena firing from distance, keeping Korrath at bay, while Ryan struck close, using knife and grenades to exploit weaknesses. Korrath, a Vren storm, shook the stone floor with every blow, but Ryan wouldn't yield. He pulled a magnetic grenade from his pack, thumbing it active, and lobbed it at Korrath. A white flash erupted, and the Vren collapsed, systems overloaded, white eyes dimming like fading lamps. Ryan panted, sweat dripping onto the stone. He turned to Lena, eyes worried. You alive? Lena rubbed her bruised shoulder, standing with a grimace. Close enough, she replied, voice hoarse but wry. She glared at Korrath. But this guy, he knows something about the core. More than a contract. Ryan nodded, kneeling beside Korrath, binding its limbs with energy cords from his suit. He checked his knife, ready if the Vren stirred. He'll talk, he growled, voice low and dangerous. Like it or not. But before they could question it, the chamber quaked, like Cygnus 9 itself was enraged. Ice dust rained from the ceiling, and the core's pedestal screen flared, projecting a hologram, a Draken fleet, black ships gleaming like beast armor, entering Cygnus 9's orbit. Lena stepped closer, eyes wide with shock and anger. They found us, she whispered, gripping her rifle. And I'd bet Orion knew all along. Ryan stood, staring at the core. Its green light pulsed, not just power but something deeper, like a secret that could reshape galaxies. If Draken wants it, he said, voice low and resolute, they'll have to go through us. Lena smirked, eyes flashing defiance. Then let's give him a show. She glanced at Korrath, still out. And when this guy wakes, he'd better pick a side. Ice dust cascaded from the cave's ceiling, the core's green light pulsing, bathing Ryan Voss's angular face in shadows that deepened the lines of sweat and stardust. His patchwork armor clinked with each move, a battered testament to worlds survived. He stood over Korrath, the Vren bound in energy cords, its metallic skin glinting despite its stillness, like a steel statue caught between loyalty and betrayal. Lena Carver leaned against an ice wall, plasma rifle resting on her thigh, auburn hair a tangled mess under the eerie glow, brown eyes sharp as they studied Korrath, searching for truth beneath the metal. The architect chamber trembled faintly, distant explosions from the Draken fleet in orbit a reminder that time favored no one. Ryan took a deep breath, the frigid air biting through his suit, laced with burned ozone. He nudged Korrath's leg, not hard, but enough to stir, his usual defiance in the motion. Talk, he growled, voice low and lethal, like a blade at the throat. Or I toss you to the Draken for sport. Trust me, they love steel toys. Korrath's eyes opened, white and pupilless, glinting in the dim light, but it held a chilling calm, like a machine untouched by fear or regret. You don't understand, it said, voice like a ship's rumble, echoing in the tight space. The core isn't just power. It's the key to the Architect network, a weapons system ancient enough to erase star systems in a heartbeat. Orion wants to control it, make it their leash on the galaxy. Draken wants to burn everything in their path with it. Ryan and Lena exchanged a glance, silent but loaded, like they were weighing each of Korrath's words. Lena leaned forward, eyes narrowing, fingers brushing her rifle's trigger. "And you were gonna hand it to Orion?" she asked, voice sharp as a knife, laced with doubt but a flicker of hope, like she wanted a reason to believe Korrath wasn't fully gone. Korrath lowered its head, a rare crack in its loyal facade, a hint of hesitation. "I had no choice," it said, voice softer, almost a confession. "Vren are bound by contracts, oaths carved in blood and steel, deeper than will. Breaking them breaks us." "But," it paused, white eyes flashing something almost human. "You fought for me, in the nebula on this ice. You didn't leave me, even after I aimed at you. That isn't normal." Ryan frowned, stepping closer, the core's light glinting off his armor, tracing scars from battles past. "What are you saying?" he asked, voice low but curious, like he was trying to read a language hidden in Korrath's steel. Korrath looked up, white eyes locking onto Ryan, like they saw through him to the core of what made him human. "I feel your will," it said, voice tinged with rare awe, like it had stumbled on a new cosmic law. "Not Orion's greed, not Draken's cruelty. Unity. You fight not just to survive, but to protect each other, something bigger than yourselves. I want to believe you can do what's right, even if I don't know what that is." Lena let out a dry laugh, but it carried a warmth, like she saw Korrath as more than a machine now. "Right?" she said, voice teasing but eyes bright. "We're just trying to make it to tomorrow, Tin Man. But if that's an apology, just say it." Ryan stood tall, rifle still in hand, but Korrath's words sparked something in him, like a current through his bones. Korrath wasn't the blind machine he distrusted. It was struggling, like him, like Lena, caught in choices never easy. He knelt, meeting the Vren's eyes, voice firm but not commanding. "Help us," he said, each word heavy as a vow. "Stop Orion and Draken together. Otherwise, this system's ash, and your contract won't mean shit when there's no one left to enforce it." Korrath was silent, white eyes flickering, like it weighed its Vren oath against a new path. The air grew thick, only the faint howl of storms outside and Lena's quick breaths breaking it. Then Korrath nodded, slow but certain, like a door swinging open. "Release me," it said, voice low but resolute. "I'll guide you through the Architect network. But if I betray you again, kill me. I won't blame you." Ryan glanced at Lena, who shrugged, eyes wary but grudgingly agreeing. "I don't fully trust it," she whispered, hand still on her rifle. "But we're out of options. If it pulls anything, I shoot first." Ryan drew his energy knife, its hum sharp as it sliced the cords, sparks dancing in the dark. Korrath rose, towering like a steel monument, but its wide eyes held a new glint, not submission, but fragile commitment. "Follow me," it said, leading them through an ancient tunnel, where ice walls glowed with architect glyphs, like tales from a young universe. The tunnel narrowed, cold seeping through their suits, carrying the dead planet's breath. Ryan stayed close to Korrath, the core in his pack pulsing, its green light sinking with the wall's veins, like it spoke to them. Lena, behind, checked her scanner, eyes tracing the glowing symbols. It's like a living library," she whispered, voice awed. "What did Orion know they didn't tell us?" Korrath glanced back, white eyes flashing. "Orion sees the core as power," it said, voice a low warning. "They don't grasp its consciousness. Architect didn't die. They're here, in the network, waiting for the worthy." Ryan gripped the core, its vibrations like a wordless whisper, pulling him deeper into the dark. He didn't know where the Architect network led, but for the first time, he felt a fragile alliance forming, between a stubborn engineer, a survivalist, and a Vren learning to trust. They pressed on, the core's light their guide, a faint flame against Cygnus 9's storm. The Architect tunnel widened, its ice walls shimmering with ancient glyphs like stars frozen in time. Green pulses from energy veins lit Ryan Voss's battered armor, tracing scars and stardust from countless dead worlds. He clutched the energy core, a metal and crystal sphere vibrating like a heartbeat, as if guiding them through Cygnus 9's frigid dark. Lena Carver kept pace, auburn hair tangled under the eerie glow, brown eyes sharp as they scanned the shadows, her scanner beeping like a silent warning. Korrath, the Vren with gleaming metal skin, trailed behind, white pupilless eyes reflecting the light, carrying a strange stillness, as if bracing for something beyond itself. The air was heavy with ozone and scorched metal, each step echoing on the stone floor like a rhythm of survival. Ryan felt the core warm in his hands, not just an object but a presence whispering, pulling him deeper. Lena glanced at him, unease in her eyes. "This thing, it's like it's alive," she whispered, voice low and taut. "You feel anything?" Ryan frowned, fingers tightening on the core. "Like it's trying to talk," he replied, voice rough, gray eyes staring into the dark ahead. "But I don't speak its language." Korrath turned, white eyes flashing. "Architects don't speak in words," it said, voice like an echo from a lost era. "They speak in will. Be ready." The tunnel opened into a colossal central chamber, larger than any structure they'd seen, like a cathedral of stars. Walls soared hundreds of meters, covered in swirling energy circuits, glowing like a pocket galaxy. At the center, a massive pillar of light shot from the stone floor, its green radiance linking to the core in Ryan's hand, like a thread of fate binding them to the cosmos. The chamber hummed with a strange frequency, as if it breathed, lived, and watched. Ryan stopped, the core pulsing harder, its light bathing his face, etching tension into his features. "What the hell is this?" he muttered, voice low but sharp, raising his plasma rifle instinctively, though no target appeared. Lena stepped forward, her scanner screeching, but her eyes were drawn to the pillar, like it called her name. "This isn't a facility," she whispered, all laced with fear. "It's like a heart. The architect's heart." Before anyone could respond, a voice boomed, not from speakers, not from the air, but inside their minds, vast and ancient, like the echo of a star born at the universe's dawn. "Intruders, you bear the key," it declared, each word a hammer striking their thoughts. "But are you worthy?" Ryan flinched, stepping back, rifle sweeping the empty chamber. "Who's talking?" he growled, voice rough but steady, gray eyes searching for a form, a threat, anything to face. Korrath moved forward, white eyes gleaming with something like reverence, as if standing before a god. "Architects," it whispered, voice like a prayer. "Their consciousness lingers in the network. They never left, they waited." A holographic form appeared before the pillar, not a figure, but light and energy, swirling like a cosmic storm, beautiful yet terrifying. "This core is our heart," the voice continued, resonating in their minds, probing the corners of their souls. "It can destroy galaxies, snuff stars like candles in a breeze. But it can also renew, bring life to dead worlds. What will you do with it?" Lena stepped closer, legs trembling under the voice's weight, but her brown eyes burned with unyielding will, like a flame no darkness could quench. "We don't want destruction," she said, voice firm, each word a vow, as if defying the universe itself. "But we won't let it fall to the wrong hands, Orion, Draken, anyone who'd use it to dominate. We fight to protect, not to conquer." The entity fell silent, the pillar's light flickering, as if judging, weighing. Ryan gripped the core, feeling it pulse in sync with Lena's words. He sensed Korrath beside him, its stillness now heavy, like it too awaited a verdict. Then, abruptly, the core flared, a radiant green wave enveloping them, bright as a newborn star, banishing every shadow in the chamber. Ryan's mind was yanked into a strange realm, no longer Cygnus 9, but a void where time and space melted like ice under a sun. He saw civilizations crumble under superweapons' light, stars erased in blinks, ashes dancing like forgotten tales. But he also saw dead planets reborn, forests rising from deserts, oceans glinting under new stars. He felt Lena nearby, her will of fire that never faded, fierce and unbroken despite encroaching dark. Korrath was there too, its logical mind now laced with new emotion, like a machine learning to dream. This connection wasn't forced but chosen, as if they'd stood together not for the core, but for something greater, a silent vow to the universe. The light faded, dropping them to the stone floor, gasping, sweat streaking their faces. The core now glowed steadily, soft as moonlight, like it had accepted them, trusted them. Lena grabbed Ryan's hand, eyes wide with awe and hope. "Were we chosen?" she asked, voice hoarse but trembling with emotion, like she couldn't believe what had happened. Korrath rose, its motion slow, white eyes studying the core with newfound reverence. "The architects bound us to it," it said, voice tinged with wonder, like it saw beyond logic for the first time. "We're its new guardians, not Orion, not Draken, just us." Ryan clutched the core, responsibility heavy but not crushing. Instead, a fire kindled in him, the stubborn human spirit that had carried him through hells. He stood tall, eyes resolute. "If they want this," he said, voice low and sharp, "they'll have to go through our corpses." But the moment's joy shattered. An explosion rocked the chamber, ice and stone crumbling from the ceiling, like Cygnus 9 itself raged. The pillar's hologram flared, showing Draken, armored beasts, energy weapons blazing, storming the facility from eastern tunnels. Simultaneously, Orion mercenaries in black armor, pulse rifles ready, advanced from the west. Lena stood, rifle tight, brown eyes burning with fury. "Both sides?" she growled, voice laced with dark humor. "We just became the galaxy's biggest target." Korrath clenched its fists, white eyes locking onto Ryan, no longer cold but fierce with new resolve. "We fight," it said, voice like a sworn oath. "Together." Ryan smirked, adrenaline surging, a familiar rhythm of survival. He raised the core, its light bathing them, a defiant flame against the dark. "All right," he said, voice unwavering. "Let's show them who we are." The architect chamber shook like a wounded beast, the central pillar's green light pulsing wildly, casting ancient glyphs across the ice walls. Ryan Voss sprinted through smoke and fire, his patchwork armor clanking, scarred with fresh burns from grazing shots. His gray eyes scanned the chaotic battlefield, plasma rifle blazing in his hands, each shot a challenge to death itself. Lena Carver ran beside him, blood seeping from an arm wound, but her brown eyes held steady, auburn hair whipping as she fired with deadly precision. Korrath, the Vren with shimmering metal skin, stood like a steel wall ahead, white eyes blazing resolve, each punch shaking the stone floor, hurling Draken soldiers into crumbling ice. Draken poured in like a steel tide, towering armored beings roaring, their red energy weapons tearing the air, leaving blackened scars on the ice. At the same time, Orion mercenaries in sleek black armor attacked from the opposite flank, their pulse rifles flashing, turning the chamber into a three-way inferno. Ryan dove behind cover, ice cold under his hands, and returned fire, dropping an Orion soldier with a chest shot. "Keep formation!" he shouted, voice rough but sharp, adrenaline a wildfire in his veins. Lena crouched behind an ancient stone pedestal, firing plasma rounds at gaps in Draken armor, each shot a dance with death. "Weak points at the shoulder joints," she yelled, downing one, but a red beam grazed her shoulder, making her grit her teeth in pain. She glanced at Ryan, eyes fierce. "There are too many! We need an exit!" Korrath charged into the Draken ranks, Vren's strength a metal storm. A Draken stabbed an energy blade into its chest, but Korrath roared, snapping the foe's arm and hurling it into a wall, ice shattering. "I'll hold them!" it bellowed, voice like thunder, but Ryan saw it slowing, metallic blood leaking from wounds. Amid the chaos, the core in Ryan's hand glowed brighter, its green light a radiant star, sending strange energy through him. He felt lighter, faster, muscles surging with power from an unknown source. He vaulted a pedestal, dodging Orion fire, and dropped two soldiers with speed that stunned even him. Lena, meters away, fired with uncanny accuracy, each shot guided by instinct, downing foes before they could aim. Korrath, wounded, seemed invincible, punches stronger, faster, like it wasn't just steel but a living mountain. "The core's boosting us!" Lena shouted, voice cutting through the explosions, eyes wide with awe and grit. She dropped an Orion soldier, then rolled to dodge a Draken beam, her hair a fiery streak in the core's light. Ryan gripped the core, its pulse like a second heart, as if the architects fought beside them. But enemies kept coming, relentless, a tide of steel and fire. He realized the core's power wasn't enough, numbers overwhelmed, each second a step closer to defeat. He turned to Lena and Korrath, eyes cold but resolute. "We can't win with strength," he growled, firing a volley to hold back Draken. "We activate the Architect Network, use the core to destroy this place, bury them all." Korrath, crushing at Draken's chest, spun, white eyes flashing anger. "No!" it roared, voice shaking the chamber, raw with near-human pain. "That'll kill us too! The architects chose us to protect the core, not destroy it!" Lena, blood staining her suit, stepped forward, grabbing both their hands, brown eyes aflame no pain could dim. "If we don't," she said, voice steady despite a tremble, "Orion or Draken get the core, and the galaxy pays. We're a team, right? We do what's right, no matter the cost." Ryan met her gaze, then Korrath's, a newfound unity binding them, stronger than the core itself. He nodded, voice low but certain. "Let's go." To the pillar. They charged through gunfire and flame, Ryan leading, using his engineer's skill to trigger architect traps, ice panels collapsing, energy beams bursting from walls, slowing foes. Lena, with survivalist instinct, guided them through narrow tunnels, evading flanking squads, her eyes scanning like a hunter's. Korrath guarded their rear, facing Draken head-on, each punch cracking ice, but metallic blood pooled, painting the stone like a grim mural. They reached the central pillar, where the core belonged on an ancient stone dais. Draken and Orion closed in, roars and gunfire a chaotic symphony. Ryan knelt, hands trembling as he placed the core, its light flaring, flooding the chamber. But a Draken squad charged, and Korrath turned, stepping to block the entrance, its metal frame an unyielding wall. "Go!" it roared, voice thick with power, white eyes locking onto Ryan and Lena. "I'll hold them." "Finish it!" Ryan cursed, reaching for Korrath, but Lena grabbed his arm, eyes pained but resolute. "Korrath knows what it's doing," she whispered, voice breaking. "Don't let it be for nothing." The pillar erupted in blinding green, and an ancient voice filled their minds, vast as the cosmos. "You chose to protect. We honor the sacrifice." The facility began to collapse, ice walls splitting, stone raining down. Ryan and Lena sprinted for an ancient escape pod, the core's light guiding them through the dark. They looked back once, seeing Korrath amidst enemies, metal skin gleaming, white eyes blazing before rubble swallowed it. A white flash consumed everything, like an architect farewell, and Ryan felt his chest tighten, like losing a piece of himself. The white light faded, leaving a heavy stillness, as if the universe held its breath. Ryan Voss opened his eyes, head spinning, body aching like it had been torn apart and stitched back. He lay on the cold metal floor of a strange ship, its air tinged with ancient echoes, panels glowing with architect glyphs like half-forgotten dreams. His patchwork armor still smelled of smoke and scorched steel, now silent, like a warrior at rest. The energy core, now fist-sized, rested in his hands, glowing softly like moonlight, pulsing slowly as if offering wordless comfort. Beside him, Lena Carver gasped for air, auburn hair matted with sweat, brown eyes dulled by exhaustion but sharp with defiance, like she'd never surrender. Ryan sat up, gray eyes scanning the ship's interior. Through a viewport, Cygnus 9 gleamed, a distant sphere of ice and fire, no trace of the architect facility, only debris drifting in orbit, glinting like stardust. No Draken, no Orion, no gunfire or war's roar. Just silence, and an absence where Korrath once stood. "Did we do it?" Lena asked, voice hoarse, each word dragged from deep within. She propped herself up, checking a bandaged shoulder wound, patched with the ship's medkit. Ryan nodded, but his eyes carried sorrow, like a cold wind through his chest. He gripped the core, its faint pulse a distant heartbeat. "Korrath," he whispered, voice low and heavy. "It saved us." Stood there, alone, to buy us time. Lena stepped closer, her hand on his shoulder, light but firm, like a vow unspoken. "It chose us, Ryan," she said, voice soft but resolute, eyes glinting through pain to find hope. "Like the architects did?" Korrath wasn't just in, it was part of the team, even if we didn't want to admit it. Ryan met her gaze, lost mingling with a new spark, like a star piercing a dense nebula. He breathed deep, the ship's air sharp with metal and ozone, now the scent of survival, of a second chance. It gave us a shot, he said, voice rough but kindling with purpose. And I won't let that go to waste. The ship hummed, engine stirring with a low rumble, like it had a mind of its own. The console lit up, plodding in autocourse, to the free zone, a distant galactic corner untouched by corporations, where survivors could rewrite fate. Ryan stood, placing the core on the console, its light tracing his face, highlighting scars and the grit etched by years. Lena leaned on the co-pilot's seat, eyes flicking from the core to the endless stars, each a call to destiny. What do we do with this? She asked, voice tinged with curiosity, like facing a puzzle bigger than herself. The architect said it can rebuild, not just destroy. But it's also what the galaxy's hunting. Ryan clenched his fist, responsibility heavy but not a burden, more a purpose. We take it to the free zone, he replied, voice low but certain, like an oath. Far from Orion, Draken, anyone who'd burn the galaxy for it. The architects didn't choose us to wreck things, but to build a safe place, a new start. Lena smirked, eyes bright with hope, despite bruises and weariness. A new start? She echoed, voice teasing, like she was daring fate again. Sounds like the kind of dream I'm not used to, Voss. But I'm in. Before Ryan could reply, the core pulsed stronger, its green light flickering fast, like a stirred heartbeat. A faint signal beeped, and a hologram flickered on the console, not an architect, but Korrath, not its metal form but its essence, white eyes glowing with strange peace, more friend than machine. You did right. Korrath's voice said, low and warm, echoing in the quiet. I didn't die, the architects remade me, wove me into the network. I'm part of it now, guarding the system from the dark, like you. Ryan froze, heart tightening, but a rare smile broke through, the first in years. Thanks, Tin Man, he said, voice thick with gratitude and a pang of loss. He glanced at Lena, her eyes shimmering, like she'd reclaimed a lost piece. Korrath's voice lingered, a promise eternal. Take the core to the free zone, it said. Build a place no one can misuse it, not for destruction, but rebirth. I'll be there, in the network, watching, a guardian. The hologram faded, leaving the core's gentle glow, a beacon in the dark. Lena squeezed Ryan's hand, a silent bond needing no words. A three-man team, huh? She said, voice playful but deep with feeling. Maybe we should call it that American miracle you mentioned. Ryan chuckled, the sound foreign but real, like rediscovering a piece of himself. Call it that, he replied, eyes locked on the stars ahead, where the free zone waited. But this time, it's not just surviving. We're changing things. The ship surged through the void, engines roaring like a song of defiance. Stars glittered ahead, each a promise, a challenge, a chance. The core pulsed, a heartbeat of the architects, of Korrath, of two humans who fought not just to live, but to bring light to the dark. Cygnus 9 faded behind, but their legacy, a bond unlikely, a vow unbroken, burned bright, guiding them through the infinite cosmos.